Welcome back to What Matters This Week. I'm Lauren Maloney. Joining us now is Scott Giles, President and CEO of the Vermont Student Assistance Corporation, also known as VSAC. Scott, I wanted you to come in because there is some big news that we learned last week with the governor's budget address. His budget calls for increasing funding for VSAC's non-degree grant program by more than $1 million. This is good news as far as you're concerned.
This is extraordinary news, and actually it's going to be the first time that we've seen an increase in funding for this program in nearly 5 years.
Okay, so let's take it back. This was started in 1982, almost the first of its kind in the country?
Actually, the first of its kind in the country, and the idea back then, there had been lots of economic dislocation, and Vermont was struggling with workers who just lost their jobs in the tool and die industry. And many of our grant programs were targeted towards traditional age students that were seeking a degree, and somebody said, you know, we need a program that will allow an adult who's just lost their job to be able to get the certificate or take a course that will allow them to get reemployed. And that was the birth of the non-degree grant program.
Wow, okay. So is it still people who are enrolled in tech kind of vocational? Has it grown as far as eligibility requirements since?
Absolutely. So you can use it to get a certificate program, help pay for an apprenticeship or a short-term training program. And we've got folks that will get certificates in welding or in the healthcare fields to become phlebotomists or start their LNA degree. For some people, it's a single course that they need. There was a single mother down in the Brattleboro area who'd been working as a kind of in an office as an office manager, and she needed to take a single course in bookkeeping in order to be able to get a job as a bookkeeper. Mm-hmm. So she was able to use the non-degree grant to take that course at CCV. Having taken that course, she was promoted into the role of bookkeeper, which really allowed her to support her family better.
So as far as the grants that are awarded to people, it's kind of on a, maybe it depends on what they're applying for as far as to what gets approved. So there are probably a lot of different levels that people get approved for?
Absolutely. So it can be anywhere from, as I said, job training and certificate programs, welding, kind of LNA programs, or oftentimes you'll have an adult who maybe started college, didn't have a great experience, they're unemployed or they're underemployed. They've figured out what they want to do. They think they're going to need education in order to be able to do that, but they're a little nervous that, you know, my last experience wasn't great. I'm not sure I can do this. Some of them will actually also use the non-degree grant to take a single course at CCV, test the waters with relatively low risk and say, okay, I can do this. And then they may go on for either a longer degree program or get an associate's degree through CCV that allows them to get the job they want.
The governor is taking a big focus this year and has been in his last term as well when it comes to expanding the labor force. Is that encouraging more people to become interested in? Is the awareness also higher because of that?
You know, I think that there are two things coming together. If you talked, one of the things that we learned coming out of the Great Recession was that almost all of the good jobs with wages required education or training after high school. When we take a look at the jobs we lost, almost all of them went to individuals with only a high school diploma. So we've seen a lot of interest in getting more education and training here in Vermont. Second thing we're hearing is if you talk to employers, they're telling us they can't hire people with the skills that they need. And we have some 55,000 working age Vermonters who have some college but no degree. Part of what we're seeing is the non-degree grant becomes a tool for trying to connect those individuals that don't have the skills the employers need with the skills they need so that they can fill those jobs.
I imagine you had to request an increase or some kind of help from the governor's budget. So how does that work?
You know, one thing that this governor in particular, all governors have done this, is they want to see results. They want to know that an investment, if they're going to take state resources and put them to a program, that they're going to see the results they want. We were asked 2 years ago by the legislature to do a study on the effectiveness of this program. We were able to show that 2/3 of the people that were unemployed were either employed or in school after they had completed the grant, which for a program like this is really exceptional. We were able to take that information to the governor and say, you know, Governor, we believe kind of wholeheartedly in your commitment to workforce development. Here's this program that is really making a difference in the lives of adult Vermonters who are unemployed. we believe an investment will help you meet your economic development goals, and we're pleased to see that the administration decided that this program was worthy of support.
You mentioned a success story, so to speak, not too long ago. What else do you hear from students, adults who are really trying to take advantage of this when they've come back, when they have this job that they've wanted, that the non-degree grant program really helped them with? What's the reaction?
Well, 90% of the people that participate in this program will tell us that they learned something that they were able to use in their new job. Most of them got increases in wages. Many of them, for the first time, became eligible for jobs with benefits, which allows them to support their families, more completely. One of the things that is wonderful about this program and our other programs is we get to see the way that education and training can transform not just the life of the student that took advantage of it, but the family that they're part of.
When it comes to expanding the workforce, what else does VSAC offer, do, that can also meet some of these goals?
Two different programs that we invest really heavily in that I think are directly relevant to this. Many people know that we provide career and education counseling to traditional age students. We start working with low-income students in middle school and high school, help them envision careers, and then figure out what education or training they'll need. And that has been for years what many people see as our bread and butter. We do the same thing for adults, which not as many people know. So we've got counselors that live and work throughout the state of Vermont that will work with thousands of working age Vermont adults. Say, okay, they'll come and say, I'm unemployed or I'm underemployed. I'm trying to figure out what it is that I can do in order to be able to support my family or myself. We'll provide career and education counseling, help them figure out what training programs they'll need, how to get into them, and then use the non-degree grant to help pay for it.
How can people apply?
Well, anybody that is interested can just call VSAC, our 1-800 number, and connect with a counselor who can kind of educate them regarding the process. You can apply for the grant right online. It's as simple as going to www.vsac.org. And if you're interested in meeting with a career and education counseling, call us and we can set up an appointment wherever you are in the state.
As far as people knowing that this is available, how is it being pushed or presented to folks?
We work with all of our partners throughout the state, whether it's state government, opportunities and programs like this to be able to share, what we see as being really good news. We also work with community partners, so we're working with the tech centers, we work with all the Vermont colleges and training programs, and make sure that they know that this money is available.
Okay. Appreciate you being here. Thank you very much.
Lauren, thank you very much for having me.
We'll be right back on What Matters This Week.